This week, the Eternal City has seen a morning spectacle that transcends even the Vatican's usual majesty. Pope Francis, the 266th pontiff of the Roman Catholic Church, its first Latin American leader, has died at the age of 88 following a sudden stroke, closing a 12-year papacy defined by humility, inclusion, and quiet defiance. In response, the faithful and the curious alike have flooded into Vatican City. Over 50,000 people have passed through St. Peter's Basilica in the first 12 hours alone, with lines extending down the Via della Conciliazione like a modern Via Dolorosa. Entry was scheduled to end at midnight, but overwhelmed authorities have kept the basilica open through the night to accommodate the throngs of mourners, tourists, pilgrims, and regrettably a fair few influencers. The scene has been extraordinary. A red-robed cardinal-led procession escorted the Pope's open coffin into the basilica. Swiss guards posted in silent watch, and spontaneous applause echoed through the square, a traditional Italian gesture of reverence. Yet amid this sea of grief and grace, there's been a less savoury current. Selfies at the sight of the Pope's lying in state. Mobile phones held aloft, grins juxtaposed against death, filtered sorrow. It would be good if people could try and remember where they are. It sort of reminds you, or it reminds me, of the controversy caused by Philip Schofield during the lying in state of Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. But there's little that can be done. This is the modern age. This is the age of the phone. One might say it was inevitable. Francis's papacy has dwelled in tension with the times. He embraced the digital age while warning people of its shallowness. He tweeted, but he also washed the feet of prisoners. He was the Pope of paradox, and in a sense, this week he's held a mirror to us all: reverence next to irreverence, devotion before disruption. For some, this vigil has been intensely personal. A Mexican couple on honeymoon told the BBC they hoped to receive a blessing from a dead man. A Ghanaian pilgrim said simply he did his best, and a 13-year-old boy waiting after midnight with his parents said maybe he will enjoy heaven. The body will lie in state until Friday evening, when a liturgical rite overseen by Cardinal Kevin Farrell, the Vatican's Camerlengo, will seal the coffin, and unlike many of his predecessors, Pope Francis will not be interred beneath St. Peter's. True to his will, he will be buried in the Basilica of St. Mary Maggiore, beneath a simple stone bearing only his name in Latin, Franciscus. This in itself is a final sermon. No grand tomb, no Vatican real estate, just a saintly goodbye from a man who once said the church should be a field hospital after battle, not a museum of certainties. World leaders will attend Saturday's funeral: Prince William, Sir Keir Starmer, Presidents Macron, Zelensky, and yes, Donald Trump. But it's not their presence that marks this moment. It's the 50,000. It's the long wait. It's the woman from Pontypridd who was shocked by iPhones in a sacred space. It's the overnight pilgrim who said simply he loved immigrants. In the end, Pope Francis leaves behind more than a will or a sealed casket. He leaves questions. Will his successor carry forward his social teachings, his commitment to the poor, the LGBT community, to climate action, to synodality, to reform, or will the conclave swing the pendulum? He also leaves a cautionary tale as we scroll through grief, document death, and perhaps forget the stillness that mourning demands. One wonders what Francis himself would say, perhaps something from his namesake, St. Francis of Assisi: preach the gospel at all times, when necessary, use words. Or maybe he might have said, use phones. Sergio Alfieri, the physician at Rome's Gemelli Hospital who oversaw the Pope's treatment, has told the newspaper that he arrived at the Vatican 20 minutes after receiving a phone call at 5:30. He said he entered the Pope's rooms and he had his eyes open. I ascertained that there were no respiratory problems, and then I tried to call his name, but he didn't respond to me. In that moment, I knew there was nothing more to do. He was in a coma. In a separate interview in another newspaper, he said that some officials were present with the Pope, suggesting, and they suggested moving him immediately back to the hospital He would have died on the way, said the doctor. Doing a CT scan, we would have had a more exact diagnosis, but nothing more. It was one of those strokes that, in an hour, carries you away.